All right. So we'll start off with the key takeaways from last week. So actually, we even this week, all that we're going to be covering is primarily on concupiscence. So this is just going to be a little bit of a refresher on that. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Father.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So concupiscence has affected every human being after the fall. Okay. The image of God has been marred or distorted. Sexuality has become an obstacle in man's personal relationship with woman. Distrust has developed between the sexes because of concupiscence. But the insatiability of desire between the sexes remains, even though marred by distrust. Okay. We will be discussing this in a little bit of detail. Domination has led to the possession of the female by the male as an object of his desire. This is an unfortunate situation that we face in the world today. All right. And shame has left a deep resonance on the innermost being of both the sexes. Okay. So for reflection, have I as a male, just a second, am I? Okay. I was having a little bit of a, okay. Anybody would like to share on this? Usually no one does. So. Seems like history is repeating itself. No one is sharing, so fine. We'll go ahead.
Chat, I feel like saying if I share, it will incriminate me. So
we are all equally in the same boat, okay? We're all equally in the same boat. We're all sinners, okay? But the thing is, see, the more we reflect on such things, and this is the reason why Theology of the Body has helped me. The more I reflect on such things, I am reflecting on the way I have behaved all the days of my life till date. Okay. And subconsciously, or I don't know, sometimes even consciously, these things have crept in and my behavior has been distorted towards the direction of concupiscence. Of course, I mean, it is concupiscence which dominates most human relationships, to be honest. So, how has this affected us? That is the only question. I'm not saying, asking that we need to come and share our personal details. But see, let's be honest. I mean, I'll try and answer the first question. Okay. Have I as a male thought, even in a subtle manner, that the female is meant to be an object for my possession? Sadly, true. I'm not going to deny that. And have I changed? By the grace of God? Yes. Okay. But before I knew the truth, before I was having, before I came in a sense to have a touch of the Holy Spirit or a personal encounter with the Lord himself, before that, even though I was a baptized Christian, my thinking, my thought patterns, my way of behavior was very much dominated by the world. So pornography, all these kind of attitudes were dominating me. So have I as a male thought, even in a subtle manner, I would say even more than a subtle manner, the female is meant to be an object for my possession? Yes, sadly true. And I am ashamed to say so. Okay. Now, the moment I am accepting that this has been my behavior, that allows me to say, now, hopefully, by the grace of God, I will stop doing that. That is the intention behind these questions which are trying to help you to reflect on. That's all. Okay. Nobody is trying to condemn anybody or trying to put anyone down. No way. That's not the intention. All right. So if as a female, I mean, I've encountered, unfortunately, that there are women who tend to think of children as burdens. For that matter, not just women, men. Why should we raise children? They are burdens. They are a drain on our, what do you call, on our finances. Okay. So that tends to, kind of restrict the gift of life which God wants to give. So all these kind of things, we need to start reflecting on, and that will hopefully help us to say no. And when we say no to the things of the world, then we are hopefully saying yes to the things of life, to the things of God. Okay, I'll stop there. If now, hopefully, if anyone wants to share very quickly, you can share. Else we will proceed.
Brother, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. As the world population has increased so much now, and I keep listening to natural resources being depleted, and human beings are encroaching on animal space, and it goes on and on.
Yeah.
Like my children, they keep telling me, Mama, there's so many children over there in the world who are orphans. So in future, we won't have children. We'll adopt to help the population. It's easier, all words, when they have all these fancy thoughts when they are young. I know as they get older, you change.
Absolutely.
But I want to know from you, is that in line with God's plan for us in the future? I'm not sure, because I don't understand Revelations completely.
No, you don't have to be apologetic about all this. There's no need to be apologetic about yourself.
So
it's a genuine question. Okay.
Yes. So when you say that the husbands and wives don't want children, now I have 3 children, but and I love children. I mean, so if I had to do it all over again, I would do it all over again. I think that's the most beautiful thing you could do, be a mother. It's extremely rewarding, and to share your faith, to share the creation of God, it's just beautiful. But is it correct that in future we should be, adopting children, not having children of our own, to help God and help this world, and stop the nature being depleted completely? Is that God's plan? I sometimes wonder.
Okay. First and foremost, let's be clear. God said, be fruitful and multiply. Okay. So that's the genuine desire of God, that human beings should multiply. Okay. So let's be absolutely clear about that aspect. Now, when we look at the world, we have a tendency to think that let's honestly look at it. What are the constraints that we have, so to speak, okay, about the number of children in the population, etc. One is land. We think we don't have land. Okay, and we think we don't have resources. I mean, food, shelter, clothing, etc. Then we think that water and other essentials which are required for a healthy and decent life are not available. And then we think that poverty is primarily because there is so-called overpopulation. Okay, now to give an answer to all these questions, it will take a little time. I don't know if you want me, I'll take an entire session on overpopulation. I have an entire presentation on overpopulation discussing all these issues. But the short and sweet answer is this, that overpopulation is a myth. Okay. Let's understand one thing. Let's be factually and logically let's logically think about it. What is the meaning of the word over? Okay. Over means there is, let's say, a capacity for a container to accommodate X amount of material, right? And if the capacity of that container is over, then it is over, correct? That's the whole idea of the meaning. The meaning of the word over, correct? Now, somebody has to define what over means, right? So if you take a container, let's say a bucket of water, let's say. So you fill the bucket of water, and the bucket can fill maybe what, 10 liters, 8 liters, 20 liters, whatever. Beyond that, it cannot be filled. That is the capacity of the bucket, right? So somebody obviously has defined the capacity of the bucket, correct? It is 8-liter bucket or 10-liter bucket or 20-liter bucket, etc. Now tell me something. Has anybody defined the carrying capacity of the earth as being X amount of population? Nobody
No.
has yet.
No.
Okay, now let's understand one more simple thing. Okay. The earth is the container in that sense, no? It's just if you take the analogy of the bucket, the earth is the container. And let's say the water, okay, in the bucket is all of us, no? Correct? In a manner, I'm trying to give an analogy. So
Yes,
can
yes.
one molecule of water, okay, can one molecule of water determine that the other molecule is the over part of the water? In the over, it's that the other molecule has crossed the limit. Can one molecule decide for another molecule? No, correct. So can I decide for another person and say that, oh, you are the overpopulated part, right? Can I do that for some, let's say you or anybody else for that matter, okay? I can't, no? Because I am equally part of the container as much as you are. It's only somebody who's outside the container who can define, no? And who is the person outside the container, in that sense, outside the earth, who can actually decide this is God.
God. Yes.
And God has not yet said that there is a limit. There is no overpopulation in that sense. We're speaking pure logic. All right. So since the question has been asked, I don't know if any one of you is interested. I have a ready presentation available. It will take an hour. Okay. On overpopulation being a myth. Maybe we can do it whenever you want. I can just give it to you. So the short answer is
Yes.
that overpopulation is a myth.
Okay.
In fact,
Brother,
there's a website called overpopulationisamyth.com. You can go and check it out. Okay.
All right. Brother, can you just
Right.
put that in the chat box? We'll go to it. Because
Just
our
a second.
kids,
Where is the chat?
my children study about this all the time. So I'd like to,
Fair enough.
enlighten them on this.
Yeah. Where is the chat? Suddenly I'm not able to get the chat. Yeah, just a second. Sometimes technology,
No problem, brother. Later also, whenever you get a chance.
Okay, I get it. Everyone meeting. I think overpopulation. Population is a myth.com. Okay, you can check this website. It's called overpopulationismyth.com. Okay. Yeah. I think if that website is not correct, then just revert back to me and send me a WhatsApp message or something. I'll give you the text. I'm just giving you the website name from memory. So if you don't find it, please get back to me later. Okay. So shall we continue?
Yes, brother. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we will continue for today. Okay. Where was I? Yeah. So like I said earlier, all these lectures which John Paul II has been giving to us, all these are negative. Okay, in the sense they're all talking about the negative aspect of sin, of concupiscence, etc., etc. So all that we are dealing with at this point in time is, so to speak, the bad news. Okay. So, and in all these lectures, there's no real good news available. Okay. So let's see. So let's try and understand this. So the human body in its original masculinity and femininity from the beginning has a spousal character. And this is something which we have listened to earlier. So what is the spousal meaning of the body? I'm just again giving you a refresher. The power that the body possesses to express love, by which the human person becomes a gift. That is the meaning of the spousal meaning of the body. Okay. That I, as a male, I am going to be a total and complete gift to my wife, basically to the female. Okay. And through that self-giving, I am going to be expressing love to my wife. That is the understanding of the spousal meaning of the body. All right. This power to express love comes from the heart. Okay. It's from the very spirit of the human person. So it's not, so to speak, a bodily power, but the body is, in a sense, you'll come to the next part, is the expression of the spirit. Okay. The body is an expression of the spirit. So in the way the spirit behaves or understands how to behave, to that extent or to that measure, the body will respond or react. Okay. So if there is love in my heart, then my body will express love. If there is hatred in my heart, the body will express hatred. Okay. So this power to express love comes from the very heart, the very spirit of the human person. Now the concupiscence, now again, we're speaking of the bad news. Concupiscence that comes from the world, please understand, concupiscence does not come from God. All right. Concupiscence wasn't there in the state of original innocence. All right. Concupiscence that comes from the world is the primary reason for the limitation, violation, or complete deformation of the spousal meaning of the body. That means concupiscence limits or violates, or even to a great extent deforms the spousal meaning of the body, which is the power to express love and to become a gift to another person. Okay. So the body, which is the expression of the spirit. Okay. So the body is the expression of the spirit. Please understand this. What is the condition of my heart? It is in that manner that my behavior will be exhibited with my physical body. If I have anger, then maybe I'll strike somebody or stare with anger with somebody at somebody. Okay. So it is, the body is the expression of the spirit. What is there within me is exhibited through the actions or through the words or through the way I look at the other person, which is primarily through the body. So that's why the body is called the expression of the spirit. So the body, which is the expression of spirit, was called to exist in the communion of persons as the image of God. All right. Now, concupiscence has corrupted this expression of the spirit, which is the human body. So right now, we are living under this shadow of sin, under this state of concupiscence, which is corrupted. Please understand. Remember what John Paul II talks about, the law of personalism. Okay. What does he say? That the human being, every human being has to have or has to receive love from another human being. In other words, every human being exists to be loved. That's the whole idea. That is a personalistic norm, okay, which John Paul II expresses. Every human being exists in order that we may be loved. Now, obviously, that's not what's happening in the world. All right. Are we 100% loving each other? No. So why aren't we loving each other? Because concupiscence is ruling our spirits and the way we think and act and interact with others. So concupiscence is deforming the the power to express love and to become a gift. Okay, it restricts it. So let's listen to a few quotations from, and again, like the last session, these are going to be quite a bit of quotations from the text of the Theology of the Body. Okay, so the human heart experiences the degree of this limitation or deformation above all in the sphere of the reciprocal relations between man and woman. Precisely in the experience of the heart, femininity and masculinity in their mutual relations seem to be no longer the expression of the spirit that tends towards personal communion and are left only as an object of attraction, in some sense, as it happens in the world of living beings, which, like man, have received the blessing of fruitfulness. Now this when I first read it, it was shocking to me. Okay, that means what he's saying is that concupiscence has made us, in a sense, act like animals. All right. So that's why we say, if somebody, who's like dominated, let's say, by lust, is like an instinctive person who is like acting like an animal. Okay. So a person who acts like that is only interested in the body of the person, okay, rather than the person. And here is where, when we act like an animal, it's like, well, the easiest example is pornography. Okay. When we look at someone, we are not looking at the person. We are only looking at the physical body and the attractiveness of the physical body. And that is what is attracting us. And what are we behaving like? We're behaving like animals. All right. And you're not bothered about the person at all. You're only bothered about the physical looks. Okay. So you're degrading yourself from the status of a human being, from the status of being an image of God, to that of becoming like an animal. And unfortunately, this is what is rampant in the world. All right. I mean, the way a male looks at a female, I mean, I'm speaking from the perspective of a male because I'm a male. Okay. Most women can speak from the perspective of the female. True. But the male, the way the male looks, and here again, that look is critical because that look expresses the interiority of the person. Why is the person looking in that particular way? Okay, because within the person thinks that the opposite gender or the opposite sex is a person to be possessed. Okay, is an object for my pleasure, and just that and nothing else. You're reducing the person to become an object, and this is unfortunate, and this is absolutely violating the law of the gift. Okay, it's when you become a self gift to the other person, you are saying, no, I value you as a person. Okay, that's the key thing. When I am giving myself as a gift to another person, I am saying I value you as a person. Why would anybody want to give a gift to someone? Let's say, I mean, you're going for a wedding. Okay, you go for a wedding and you give a gift. And what are we saying when we give a gift to that person? We're saying we value you, right? We value you as a person. That's why we're here. That's why we are here to give you a gift. Usually it'll be some material. Okay. Now, when we come into a relationship, what are we saying? When we try to give ourselves completely over to another person, we are saying that we value you as a person. Now, that is critical. That's key. That's essential. But what happens unfortunately, is that we tend to view the other person as an object, and that, we downgrade the person, and then unfortunately, we tend to behave like animals. Okay. So again, another quote: the human body in its masculinity and femininity has almost lost the power. Again, please understand, these are words of John Paul II. I'm just quoting them. The human body in its masculinity and femininity has almost lost the power of expressing this love in which the human person becomes a gift, as we have already observed in our earlier analysis. Again, TOB, lecture 32, paragraph 3. So, has almost lost the power of expressing love. This is honestly the condition of the human heart right now. And we need to get over it. Okay. Again. Now he's talking about the spousal meaning and what has happened because of concupiscence. The spousal meaning of the body has not been totally foreign to that heart. It has not been totally suffocated in it by concupiscence, but only habitually threatened. Okay. Now, this is like saying, if you study a little bit of Christian theology, there is a school of thinking which says that we are totally depraved, okay, which is more in line with Calvinistic theology, which is not Catholic. So Catholic theology says that we are not depraved, not totally depraved, okay. Sin is dominating us, true, but we still have an element in our hearts which wants to do the right, okay. So the spousal meaning of the body has not become totally foreign to the heart. It has not become totally suffocated by concupiscence, but is threatened. Okay. Now, the heart has become a battlefield between love and concupiscence. The more concupiscence dominates the heart, the less the heart experiences the spousal meaning of the body, and the less sensitive it becomes to the gift of the person that expresses precisely this meaning in the reciprocal relations of man and woman. So, if concupiscence is dominating our heart, then we will treat the other person as an object. But if in the battle within our hearts, if we are able, in a manner of speaking, through the grace of God, to overcome concupiscence, then we will be able to experience the spousal meaning of the body, which is by being a gift to another person. Okay. So, again, since we are dealing with the heart, he is saying, does this mean that we should distrust the human heart? No. It is only to say that we must remain in control of it. All right. This reminds me of one passage from Genesis chapter 3 and verse 7. I don't know if anyone of you can, I'll just open it and read it myself. This is one verse which has struck me, personally, because it is a verse which tells Cain, even before he is about to murder his brother, okay, that what he needs to do. Sorry, it's just give me a second. Yeah, sorry, not Genesis 3:7, Genesis 4:7. Okay, I apologize. Genesis chapter 4 verse 7 says, okay, I'll read from verse 6. So the Lord said to Cain, okay, please remember when Abel and Cain offered their gifts, one was accepted, the others was not. So the Lord said to Cain, why are you so resentful and crestfallen? If you do well, you can hold up your head. But if not, sin is a demon lurking at the door. His urge is towards you, but you can master it, or you must be able to master it. All right. Here, the Lord is clearly telling Cain, you have a desire to, kind of, because you're resentful now. You're hurt in your heart. You're hurt in your pride. And you want to damage your brother. But you're saying, sin is crouching at the door. It wants to dominate you. But if you allow yourself to be led by the grace of God, you can master it. You can overcome, but you need grace. Okay. And this is key. This is how we can control our heart. All right. So let's go ahead. So concupiscence in general and the concupiscence of the body in particular attacks precisely this sincere gift. It deprives man of the dignity of the gift and in some sense depersonalizes man, making him an object for the other. Okay. Concupiscence signifies, so to speak, that was from TOB 32, paragraph 4. Concupiscence signifies, so to speak, that the personal relations of man and woman are one-sidedly and reductively tied to the body and to sex, in the sense that these relations become almost incapable of welcoming the reciprocal gift of the person. They do not constitute the expression of communion, but remain one-sidedly determined by sex. Okay. So in a sense, what he's trying to say is, it's primarily one-sided. In a sense, I want to have her, or she says, I want to have him. Okay. It's as if he or she is an object for the other person. I want to have her. I want to have him. It's as if I want to possess. Okay. Possession is not of a person. It's of an object. You cannot reduce a person into an object. That's the key thing. And why does one want to possess? Why does one want to, dominate, so to speak, in, one-sided way? Because you want to enjoy that aspect of sexual pleasure, but remain one-sidedly determined by sex. That's the key thing. Okay. So a male wants to dominate the woman wants to, if you see the woman, there is another passage from if you read from the English Standard Version. I don't have that right now in front of me. Just give me a second. I'll just give me a second. I'll just read you the portion from the English Standard Version. Just a second. Yeah. I'll just open the usual Bible I use, okay? And then it says in Genesis chapter 3, yeah. In Genesis chapter 3, the latter part, it says, verse 16, your urge shall be towards your husband and he shall be your master. Okay. Now I'm reading from the ESV version of the Bible, and it says a little slightly differently. It says that your desire shall be contrary to your husband, but he shall rule over you. Your urge shall be towards your husband, but here it says your desire shall be contrary to your husband. Okay. So it seems that the actual Hebrew can be translated both ways, surprisingly. I'm not a Bible scholar, but so I have also tried to figure out why it says, slightly contrasting things in two different versions of the Bible. But it seems in one way that the woman is attracted toward the man, but does not want to be dominated by her. So there is an urge towards a man, but does not want to be mastered by him. Okay. So it is expressed in that way in one version and the other way in the other version. So I'm seeing it as a combination of both. You want to have a desire towards a man, but your desire will be contrary, will be against him. So because he's trying to dominate you, you are against him. Okay. It's that kind of a tension which is there in the human relationship between the male and the female. And this is primarily because of sin. Okay, this wasn't the condition in the original state of in the state of original innocence. All right. So this is what we're getting at. This is what John Paul II is getting at. Okay. Concupiscence, which manifests itself as a constraint, sui generis. Sui generis means of its own accord, okay, of the body, limits and restricts self-mastery from within, and thereby, in some sense, makes the interior freedom of the gift impossible. The relationship of the gift changes into a relationship of appropriation. All right. So instead of being a gift, it changes into a relation of appropriation. So authentic love is the communion of persons, which is self-gift. Okay. So this, when we talk about communion of persons, we're talking about the authentic love, which means being a self-gift to the other person. But concupiscence brings with it the loss of the interior freedom of the gift. We find it very difficult to give ourselves to someone. Okay. And not just to someone of the opposite gender, but we find it very difficult to give ourselves as a gift to God himself. Why? Because we have lost that trust with God also. This is an indication of that. Okay, when we go through further studies of the theology of the body, that is what John Paul II is leading to. All right. Okay, so if a man relates to a woman, all these are from TOB lecture 32 and paragraph 6. If a man relates to a woman in such a way that he considers her only as an object to appropriate and not as a gift, he condemns himself at the same time to become, on his part too, only as an object of appropriation for her and not a gift. So it goes both ways. Okay, that's TOB 33 and 1. So now again, we are stepping back and trying to understand what, in one sense, what this word my is. Okay, if you go through this portion, this is where in the first instance where John Paul II is mentioning about the Song of Songs or Songs of Solomon. Okay, and you may be surprised, and when I started my Bible study years ago, I was a Bible study student, and right in the beginning, right in the middle of the Bible, okay, right somewhere in the middle, is the book, very short book, called the Song of Solomon. And I still remember the first time I read it. I was shocked. I was like, what is that doing in this? What is that doing in the Bible? I mean, it's talking about all sort of, parts of the body which can't even be uttered in sense, I couldn't understand it in the beginning. But then slowly, I started, reading and studying it and understanding why that is essential and why that is in the Bible. Then started recognizing what a human relationship with his creator means. What does it indicate? We'll come to this later, but I've not put that exact quote from the Song of Solomon here. But the Song of Solomon is going to be a key study point in the theology of the body, which we will slowly come to. Okay. If we were doing a short summary of the whole thing, I would have already covered it by now, but we are going step by step slowly. So that's why it's taking a little time. All right. So in the language of love, the word my is often used. No, she is mine, he is mine, I am my husband's, I belong to him, she belongs to me. That wording of belonging, of being mine, sometimes is understood as an aspect of possession, no? Because if I say I am his, or he is mine, or she is mine, it seems as if I'm saying of possession. But the essential meaning, and this is what John Paul II is saying, the essential meaning of this my lies outside the law of property, outside the meaning of object of possession. Okay. So when you truly love, you can honestly say my. She is my wife. It's not as if I'm possessing her. She's my wife. I love her. That's the whole idea. It's not an aspect of possession. But that's the aspect of true love. But in concupiscence, by contrast, he says, is oriented towards possession. Okay. From possessing, the next step is enjoyment. So making the person into an object of enjoyment. Okay. I don't need to give further explanation, I think, of that. Right? So when we reflect on the words spoken by Christ in the Sermon on the Mount, we find concrete dimensions, so to speak, of the opposition between the spirit and the body that was born together with sin in the human heart. So, like I said, there is in the heart a conflict between love and concupiscence. Whom are you going to allow, to lead you? Who are you going to allow, whom are you going to be led by? Are you going to be led by sin, which is exhibited in concupiscence? Or are you going to be led by love, which directs you to become a gift? Whom are you going to be led by? It's a key question that we need to ask ourselves. Okay. So now we'll just come to the last part. Sometimes, and honestly, this is not part of the text. I'm just, because this entire, all these lectures are only the bad news, the bad news, the bad news. So I'm just trying to give you a little bit of a taste, a foretaste, so to speak, of the good things. Okay. This is something which is going to come later, but I'm just putting it here. But at the same time, we have a tendency to think of the law, as restrictive, right? As if, what does the law say? You shall not steal. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not do this. You shall not do that. You shall not murder. You shall not whatever. It's always a no thing, no? Right? And we have a tendency, at least I used to have a tendency to think that these are all very restrictive things. Why is so much restriction placed? As if Christianity, in the initial phase when I was growing up, I used to always think Christianity is saying, no, I am having this wonderful deep feeling and urge to do X, Y, Z. And then Christianity and the Bible and the church says, no, it's wrong. No, all this, no. And the law which comes there, no, it's sin, it's that, it's this. I never understood the law as something which is good. Never understood it. Till I really understand what the law is for. Actually, the law is something which protects freedom. It protects freedom, okay? Because what we think of freedom, unfortunately, is anarchy. When we think of freedom, we think there should not be any law. There should not be any restriction. There should not be any constraints on us. That actually is not freedom. That is anarchy. That is lawlessness. All right. That is the world of concupiscence. The law comes and tells you, look, you have a problem. Okay. So I'm placing boundaries for you so that the problem which is within you, you should not, which should lead you, the problem that is within you, so to speak, okay, should not lead you to violate your own life. Okay. We have a problem. What is the problem? The corruption of the heart and the body. So you see the, apologize for my artistic excellence, which is not excellent at all. Okay. So you have the male and the female. All right. And I have drawn this, so to speak, border around the male and the female, which is not a complete border. It's just dashes, so to speak. Okay. I can't show you the heart, so I just put this thing around the body. It's just artistic license. So that is indicating that my heart is corrupt. Okay, there is a corruption of my heart and my body. All right. And in order to protect this, the tendency of my heart to go and do the wrong thing, the law is placed. Instead, the law says, you shall not do, you shall not kill, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal. Why? Because that is a tendency in my heart to go out and do it. And if I do it, I will fall into lawlessness and I will die. So in order to protect me, the law comes. Okay. But we think, unfortunately, that the law is there to restrict us, which is not true. So the law is something which is good. And the law protects our freedom to do the good. That's the whole idea. All right. So outside the law is lawlessness, is anarchy, is a world of concupiscence. And if we allow ourselves to be attracted by the things of the world, we will go out and do the things of the world. And then we will be stepping outside the boundaries of law and we will be falling into sin. So with this little bit of a small diagram, I hope this becomes a little clear. All right. So I think I'll stop that. And then just go to the key takeaways very quickly. Concupiscence is a complete deformation of the spousal meaning of the body. Concupiscence has corrupted the expression of the spirit, which is the human body. Concupiscence has led to the male and the female to only become objects of attraction, in some sense, as it happens in the world of other living beings. Okay. The spousal meaning of the body has become habitually threatened by concupiscence. Concupiscence leads to possession, which further leads to enjoyment as if of an object. And the heart has become a battlefield between love and concupiscence. So I hope that this idea of concupiscence and what it leads to is hopefully somewhat clear. So then we'll just go to reflection. How is the purity of the heart different from promiscuity on one hand and prudishness on the other hand? Okay. What do you all think? How has concupiscence corrupted your interior life with respect to your interaction with members of the opposite sex? It's something for reflection. Reflect again on Matthew chapter 5, verse 27-28. Has there been a change from your prior understanding of this passage? Please think of reasons for this here. Okay. And how might the Lord be calling to the rediscovery of the spousal meaning of the body? And do you now see the law as something which restricts you or as something which protects you? All right. So I think I'll stop there. I believe Bhagya had asked me a question last week, which I don't know whether I answered properly regarding. I was again reflecting on what she had asked me earlier. I don't know whether my answer was proper. So if Bhagya remembers her question about why there was, why do we need to suffer because Adam and Eve sinned? I believe that was the kind of question that she was raised. Bhagya, if you can correct me if what I've said is wrong. Bhagya is not listening. Hello. Was that answer satisfactory or you want a better answer? I think I can offer you a little more better answer right now because I thought about it for almost a week. Hello. Oh, okay.
I think you can go ahead and share the answer.
Yeah. The thing is, see, if I remember the question correctly, what she asked was, Adam and Eve sinned, right? So, and why do we have to suffer because of their sin?
Yeah.
Well, right now, okay. So,
Yeah.
maybe I'll put it this way. Now, think about it this way. My father and mother, by the grace of God, have blessed me with certain amount of, let's say, okay, they have blessed me with a certain amount of property. Okay. I'm talking about actual physical property, which I have inherited from them. All right. Do I consider it to be justice or injustice to be done to me? That I have inherited. I am their child. Okay. So I've inherited a certain amount of property from my parents. Is that injustice or justice?
Justice.
Justice, correct. Okay. Yeah, even I think so. So now, let's say that my father or my grandfather, whoever, okay, somebody on my ancestral line, they had misused their property and lost their property. Okay. And now I do not have the property which I could have had, provided they had not messed up. All right.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Would that be justice or injustice? Think.
Mm. Actually, injustice.
Yeah, I can understand. It might sound as if it is injustice, no? Because they did something wrong. Okay. And let's say, for instance, let's say my father had 10 acres of land. I don't know, whatever. I mean, of course, he didn't have 10 acres of land. I'm just making it up. Okay. And let's say he squandered it. All right. And now I don't have that. Now I can crib about it. Correct. And I can say it is injustice. Correct. But the fact of the matter is, it was something which he possessed, you know. He could have done whatever he wanted to do with it. Right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can crib about it and say that it was wrong, etc., etc., etc. But the fact of the matter remains, it was his possession. And he could have done whatever he wanted to do with it. He had no reason to ask me. Right? And let's say he
Yeah.
did it. I can very well cry it is injustice. But when I get a possession, I don't say it is injustice. No? When I get a blessing, do I say it is injustice?
So
No. But when I get something which is not so just, I cry out it is injustice, right?
yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
honestly speaking, it sounds as if I have a right to something, no? But honestly speaking, I don't have any right. Right?
Yes.
If I was not born to that set of parents, I was born to a poor set of family. I mean, would I have cribbed about it? Because I would say my father didn't have, so I didn't have. No?
Yeah.
So, there is no aspect of saying that such and such thing took place. That is why, you know, it is pure justice. You know, if my father and my mother lost something, justice says that since I am the progeny, justice says that I should receive what my father and my mother did. It is all a matter of justice. Okay. So God cannot be unjust. It is not my fault, but God cannot be unjust. I hope you're getting the perspective. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So I hope that answers it. I don't know. All right.
Mm.
Usually we don't crib about something good which comes to our way, no? But we only tend to crib about something which supposedly is bad. So what right do we have to receive something good? We don't. So in the same way,
Yeah.
you know, the other thing also follows in the same logic, right? I hope that answers. Anyway. Yeah. So for today, if you have any questions or any discussions to have, please feel free. Nobody wants to have no questions. I'll just stop this sharing for a minute. No questions at all.
Looks like
Okay.
all are mesmerized.
I'm sorry.
Looks like everybody is mesmerized.
Everybody is? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Everybody is like overwhelmed, probably.
Oh.
I think,
or maybe no. To be honest, I probably, everybody is sleeping, because if I go and talk, mostly people go to sleep. So
So I think from next time, I think it's good if somebody can switch on the video and keep, it's good for the speaker to feel at least the emotions of people who are not listening. If at all somebody can do that.
I've stopped asking that because nobody's listening.
Yeah.
So
I
Yeah.
understand.
Because it's
Anyway,
at least
so,
one person can do that, It's otherwise, and
Yeah.
I know the pain of. I very well understand Dominic Mathews' pain. Was speaking to a wall without even knowing the emotions and feelings. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
paragraph, by the way. Okay. This is from, just a sec. Yeah. This is from Lumen Gentium, paragraph 16. Okay. I'd just like to read it out to you. Just because this was the way I was thinking. Most of us, we have a tendency to think, like I said earlier also, that I am okay, you're okay. Everybody's okay. So, everybody in this world is fine. I mean, look at all the people in the world. They're pretty decent people. I mean, what is wrong with them? So we kind of seem to downplay the bad news. All right. But we need to recognize that the bad news is actually bad. It's only when we recognize the bad news that we will be able to understand how good or how fantastic the good news is, that Christ has come to save us. That news is so fantastic only when we recognize how bad the bad news is. And since we kind of tend to downplay the bad news, we then tend to not evangelize. We don't want to share the word of God. We don't want to share the love of the Father to others because we say, no, everyone is fine. Okay. So in that light, this paragraph becomes very, very essential. Okay. So this is not the whole paragraph, it's a slightly longer one. So, but whatever is there, whatever is typed in front of you is exactly words from the paragraph itself. All right. I'd just like to read it out to you. Finally, those who have not yet received the gospel are related to in various ways to the people of God. So that one line itself tells me that there is a distinction between the people of God and those who are, so to speak, not the people of God. Okay. So those who have not yet received the gospel, they are related, true, to the people of God. That means what? If you are not yet received the gospel, sad to say, but you are not technically part of the people of God. Okay. If you read John chapter 1, verse 12 says, those who received him, to them, he gave them the power to become the children of God. Okay. This is a quotation from the Gospel of John. Okay. Anyway, those also, now here, those also, that means to those who have not yet heard the gospel, this is what Lumen Gentium paragraph 16 says, those also can attain to salvation who through no fault of their own do not know the gospel of Christ or his church, yet sincerely seek God and moved by grace, strive by their deeds to do his will as it is known to them through the dictates of conscience. Okay, so in a sense, this is a good news. Nor does divine providence deny the helps necessary for salvation to those who, without blame on their part, have not yet arrived at an explicit knowledge of God and with his grace strive to live a good life. All right. So all this seems to be pretty good. Whatever good or truth is found amongst them, that is amongst all the rest of these people, is looked upon by the church as a preparation for the gospel. Okay, again, fantastic. She knows that it is given by him. Who is him? God Almighty, who enlightens all men so that they may finally have life. So they may finally have life means that obviously they do not have life, right? So that's the whole idea. Now, look at, the underlining is by me, okay? So the underlining is not part of the text. But and the word then next is but. So but means what? But kind of tends to negate everything that has been written prior. So if prior to this line, everything seems in a sense rosy, this is contradictory. Okay, but often men deceived by the evil one have become vain in their reasonings and have exchanged the truth of God for a lie, serving the creature rather than the creator. Or some there are who, living and dying in this world without God, are exposed to final despair. Okay. Wherefore, to promote the glory of God and procure the salvation of all of these, and mindful of the command of God, preach the gospel to every creature, the church fosters the missions with care and attention. So even though for no fault of theirs, they have not heard the gospel, God is going to be merciful to them. True. But what is our job? Our job is that there is something known as the evil one. And that these people, even among us, so to speak, if we are deceived by the evil one, they can become vain in their understandings and can exchange the truth of God for a lie. And they will serve the creature rather than the creator. Right? So to all of these people, we need to preach the gospel. It is essential. That is why that, now relating it to the theology of the body, we need to understand what John Paul II, the bad news is actually quite bad. Okay. But what we have in the good news is actually something which is absolutely superbly great. Okay. And we need to go out and preach the gospel to every creature to tell them that, sorry, my dear brother and sister, that what you are going through is actually quite bad, But here we have the good news. Here we have life, and that you may receive salvation. We need to have that urge. We need to have that desire. And if we don't, then we are not following, what Christ himself has said, that you shall preach the word to every human being. Right? Oh, that's all I want to say.
I have one doubt. Don't go on this.
Sorry.
So you say, she said it's important that we evangelize. That's the whole thing, in fact.
Absolutely.
Put in the crux.
Yeah.
So this is just a.
And theology, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Theology of the body is also part of evangelization. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continue. Sorry.
This question is a political question.
Okay.
So
I hope I'm able to answer.
Yeah, if you don't know, I'm sure you can give your reasoning. There may not be a perfect answer. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is something which I even raised in one of our. Let me just post the recording. 1 second.